In the small, quaint town of Salem, a chilling breeze swept across as the moon took over the sky. The night was alive with the echoes of laughter and whispers of ghostly tales. It was Halloween, a night when the veil between the living and the dead was said to be the thinnest. In this town of age-old legends and spine-tingling lore, lived a teenage girl named Lucy. She was your typical teenager, full of life and always up for an adventure. She had a sparkle in her eyes that could outshine any star, and a spirit that was as infectious as her laughter. Tonight, she was more excited than usual, as she was about to embark on a night of trick-or-treating with her closest friends, Jack and Emily. Jack was the jokester of the group, always ready with a quip or prank to lighten the mood. His high spirits were a beacon of light that drove away any lurking shadows. Emily, on the other hand, was the quiet and thoughtful one. She had a fondness for ghost stories and a curiosity that knew no bounds. Together, they made quite the trio, each one complementing the other in their own unique way. As the evening fell, they slipped into their Halloween costumes. Lucy dressed as a witch, donning a black robe with a pointy hat. Jack chose to be a pirate, complete with a fake parrot and eye patch, while Emily transformed into a ghost, draped in a white sheet with holes cut out for eyes. Their costumes were a sight to behold, adding to the eerie atmosphere of the night. With their bags ready to be filled with candies and their hearts filled with anticipation, they stepped out into the chilly night. The streets were bathed in the spectral glow of jack-o'-lanterns, their eerie faces flickering in the darkness. The night was ripe with possibilities, and the air was heavy with a delicious sense of foreboding. With their costumes on and bags in hand, they ventured into the night, unaware of the events that lay ahead. At the end of the street stood an old abandoned house known to all as the Haunted House, a relic of a time long past, its once grand facade now faded and worn. Its windows, like hollow eyes, stared out into the night, and the wind whispered ancient secrets through the cracks in its walls. Surrounded by overgrown weeds and skeletal trees, it was a place that held an aura of unease and mystery. The group of teenagers, high on the thrill of Halloween, found themselves drawn to this ominous place. The moon hung low in the sky, casting eerie shadows that danced around the haunted house, making it appear even more foreboding. The silence of the night was only broken by the distant hoot of an owl and the wind rustling through the dried-up leaves. The teens stood at the threshold, their youthful bravado wavering in the face of the unknown. A challenge was thrown, a dare to venture into the haunted house. Nervous glances were exchanged, but it was Lucy, the youngest yet the bravest, who stepped forward. She was a girl of 16 with a spirit as fiery as her red hair. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of fear and excitement as she accepted the dare with a determined nod. With a flashlight in her trembling hand, Lucy approached the creaky wooden door. The house seemed to loom larger as she got closer, its eerie presence filling her with a sense of dread. But she was not one to back down. She could feel the anxious eyes of her friends on her back, their breaths held in anticipation. Lucy reached out, her hand shaking slightly as she touched the cold, weathered wood of the door. She could almost feel the whispers of the past seeping through it, chilling her to the bone. But she was resolute. With a deep breath, she pushed the door open, the hinges groaning in protest. With a deep breath, Lucy stepped into the house, her heart pounding in her chest. The house was dark and silent, every creak and whisper amplified in the stillness. Inside this eerie void, Lucy tried to keep her nerves steady, each breath of hers echoing in the hollows of the haunted house. A chill ran down her spine, the kind that leaves your skin prickled and your heart pounding like a drum. It was not the cold of the autumn night, but something inexplicable, something that made her feel as if she was not alone. She felt a presence, a shadow that seemed to move, to dance in the corners of her eyes. It was as if the house itself was alive, watching her, whispering secrets into the cold, hollow air. The whispers were soft, barely audible, like the rustling of leaves on a windless night. They seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, a symphony of hushed voices that sent a shiver down her spine. Lucy stumbled upon an old, dusty book lying on a cobwebbed shelf. It was bound in leather, worn and cracked with age. On its cover was a strange symbol, an intricate design that seemed to shimmer in the faint moonlight. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, a symbol that seemed to hold an eerie allure, a fascination that drew her in. As she traced the symbol with her fingers, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. She could almost make out words now, phrases that seemed to echo from the very walls of the house. The shadows seemed to grow darker, the cold more biting. It was as if the house was reacting to the book, to the symbol. The air around her seemed to thicken, to pulse with a strange energy. The whispers turned into voices, a cacophony of sounds that filled her ears, her mind. She could hear them clearly now, the voices, speaking in a language she did not understand, a language that sent chills down her spine. The shadows danced wildly around her, the whispers growing louder, more frantic. She felt a cold hand on her shoulder, a grip that made her heart stop. The voices, the shadows, the cold, it was all too much. She felt a wave of terror wash over her, a fear so intense it made her knees buckle. Fear took over, and Lucy ran out, the book still clutched in her hand. The whispers followed her, echoing in her ears long after she had left the darkness of the haunted house behind. The symbol on the book seemed to glow in the moonlight, a reminder of the spooky encounter she had just survived. Back with her friends, Lucy shared her eerie encounter. Her voice trembled as she told them about the whispers she'd heard, the shadows that had danced in the corners of her eyes. She pulled out the dusty old book she'd found in the decrepit house. Its pages were yellowed with age, filled with tales that seemed as old as the house itself. Huddled together under the dim glow of a street lamp, they began to read. The story was about a witch who used to live in that very house they had dared to step foot in. Her name was Agatha, and she was known throughout the town for her eccentric ways and her penchant for the supernatural. She was said to have a particular affinity for Halloween night, when the veil between the living and the dead was at its thinnest. The tale described how Agatha would summon spirits from the other side, not for evil purposes, but simply to converse with them, to learn from them. But one Halloween night, something went wrong. A spirit she summoned refused to go back, causing havoc and casting a permanent shadow over the house. Agatha disappeared that night, and the house has been haunted ever since. The story went on to warn that Agatha's spirit was still trapped in the house, along with the malevolent entity she had accidentally summoned. It was said that every Halloween, they would try to cross over to our world, and that anyone who dared to enter the house would be marked by the spirits. As they finished reading, a cold wind blew, rustling the pages of the book and causing them to look around nervously. The story sent shivers down their spines, but they laughed it off, thinking it was just a Halloween prank. But as they looked back at the haunted house, they couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being watched. With their hearts still racing, they decided to call it a night and head home. There was a palpable sense of relief that washed over them as they left the haunted house behind. The chill of the night seeped into their bones, but they hardly noticed it. Their minds were filled with the eerie images of the encounter, which seemed to linger in their minds, taunting them with its terrifying reality. The walk home was a nerve-wracking journey, a journey filled with shadows that seemed to dance and whisper with every gust of wind. The rustling leaves echoed with sinister laughter. The moon, which had seemed friendly and inviting earlier, now cast long, foreboding shadows that made the familiar path seem alien and menacing. They walked close together, their laughter now replaced with silence, their bravado diminished to mere whispers of courage. Every creaking branch, every hooting owl, every rustling leaf seemed to carry a hidden threat. The wind howled through the trees, whispering tales of horror and mystery. It felt like unseen eyes were watching them. Unseen ears were listening to their hurried footsteps. It felt as if the night itself was alive, breathing down their necks, its icy fingers reaching out to them. The sight of their homes brought a sense of relief. The familiar sight of their front porches, the warm glow from the windows, the comforting sense of safety and normality were like a balm to their terrified souls. They hurriedly said their goodbyes, each eager to escape the eerie night and find solace in the familiarity of their homes. As they entered their homes, they couldn't help but glance back one last time at the ominous darkness. The night was still, silent as if holding its breath. The shadows seemed to recede, the whispers seemed to quieten, and for a moment it was just another Halloween night. They bid each other good night, each hoping to forget the creepy encounter. The door closed behind them, shutting out the eerie night. But as they went to bed that night, the haunting images of the encounter lingered in their minds, a terrifying reminder of the night's events. Lucy, still shaken, shared the night's events with her parents. Her heart pounded in her chest as she recounted the chilling tale. She told them about the haunted house, how it loomed over them in the moonlight, its dark silhouette a sinister specter against the night sky. She spoke of the ghostly figure they encountered, the spectral woman who whispered an ancient tale of sorrow and revenge, her words echoing in the silent night like a mournful hymn. Lucy's voice trembled as she described the woman's cold, penetrating gaze, how it seemed to pierce through her very soul, leaving her breathless. She spoke of the terror that gripped her and her friends, the icy fingers of fear that clung to them as they fled from the haunted house, their laughter from earlier in the night replaced by gasps of horror. But as Lucy told her story, her parents exchanged skeptical glances. Their disbelief was palpable, hanging heavy in the room like a shroud. They dismissed the tale as a product of Lucy's overactive imagination, a ghost story concocted from the excitement of Halloween night. They laughed it off, attributing it to the sugar rush from the trick-or-treat candies, or the eerie ambiance created by the jack-o'-lanterns and cobweb decorations. "Lucy, you've always had a flair for the dramatic," her father said, his voice laced with amusement. Her mother chimed in, suggesting that perhaps Lucy had watched one too many horror films. Their words, meant to be reassuring, only served to isolate Lucy further. She felt a chill creep up her spine, a shiver of unease that had nothing to do with the October chill. Though her parents didn't believe her, Lucy knew what she had experienced was real, leaving her with an eerie feeling as she went to bed. The echoes of the ghostly tale still lingered in her mind, the spectral woman's hollow eyes staring back at her in the darkness. The night's events had etched a chilling tale into her memory, a tale that she would carry with her, long after the Halloween decorations were packed away. As the town of Salem slept, the chilling whispers of the wind continued. The moon, a silent spectator, cast long, eerie shadows that danced on the quiet streets. A hush had fallen over the town, but within the walls of Lucy's home, the echoes of the night's events refused to fade. The old book lay on Lucy's table, a silent testament to the night's adventures. Its pages, yellowed with age, rustled softly, as if the secrets within were stirring, restless. The ancient symbols, once meaningless, now held a haunting significance. They had led the teenagers into a realm of the unknown, into the heart of a mystery that was as old as the town itself. Lucy, tucked away in her bed, couldn't shake off the chill that seemed to seep into her bones. The laughter, the costumes, the candy, everything about the night was now tainted with an unsettling undertone. The face in the haunted house, the ghostly tale, the spine-tingling encounter, were they mere figments of their imagination, or did they truly stumble upon something from the beyond? Her parents had dismissed their tale as a result of overactive imaginations, a side effect of the Halloween spirit. But Lucy and her friends knew better. They had felt the cold touch of the unknown, heard the whispering winds that spoke of untold secrets, and seen the shadows that hinted at a world unseen by human eyes. The night ticked away, the hands of the clock marching towards dawn, but the darkness of the night seemed to linger, a silent reminder of their eerie encounter. As the first rays of the morning sun pierced through the darkness, the town of Salem stirred to life, oblivious to the lingering mystery. And so the tale of the Halloween night remains, a chilling reminder of the unknown that lies beyond our understanding. The secrets of the old book, the whispers of the wind, the shadows of the haunted house, they continue to echo in the hearts of Lucy and her friends, a haunting melody of the mysteries that lurk in the shadows of the ordinary.